Now, welcome back. You're watching Diplomatic Channel. We're reviewing President Donald Trump's 100 days in office. Our panel is still with us. Ambassador Joe Keshi here in the studio and Dr. Sylvester Okere in Washington, D.C. Gentlemen, I appreciate you all being here to discuss this. So let's talk about one of the sticking points of the Trump administration, which is the ban on people from 10 Muslim countries in the Middle East and in North Africa, which was eventually stopped by the courts. While Nigeria is not on that list, we had one or two incidences where Nigerians were affected because they were coming through one of these countries. Do you think that that President Trump had some good behind this executive order?
I think he should have, or I think if he had handled it in a different way, probably things would have been, better than it is today. And bear in mind that some of the argument that was made in the courts was because of what he said during the elections. But for me, more interestingly enough, is that the 7 countries are really not terrorist countries per se. They were only identified because, number one, they are failing states. Number two, the suspicion that, look, the countries themselves provide a breeding ground, for terrorists. The great sponsors of terrorism, those who actually harbor terrorists, those who pay to, those who financially support terrorists, they are not on the list. Yeah. And this is some of the argument that quite a number of people, have made about that. But with regards to, yes, we are not on the list, and some of those who have unfortunately been turned back. I remember saying to some people that there must be some very, good reasons for turning some of these back, because in that same plane or in the planes that some of these people took, there were other Nigerians that were let in, and they were not turned back. So
yeah, really, really good points. Dr. Okere, do you want to respond to that? Do you think that this ban was valid?
Well, like I said earlier on, don't get me wrong. I think there is nothing wrong in protecting your house. How can each and every one of us leave our doors open for people passing on our street to walk in? But one thing is that the approach and the languages is what I'm against. I've been an immigration officer in Nigeria for 17 years. I have worked at the border. We don't keep our border open. We have checkpoints. That's why we want to know who is coming in and who is going out. But it has to be done humanely. We have to be very concerned. Look, and also, I'm a security professional. I don't see anything wrong there. I said earlier on that the #1 definition of a president is to protect your country. So, but the rhetorics and other people using different languages, and also our own community, we tend to react to information we had. I was caught some time ago that Nigerians were being deported. Nigeria is on the list. Nigeria has never been on the list. But one thing with policy, which Your Excellency, you know that one thing in policy is that once you enact a policy, it's going to affect everyone coming into the country, whether you are banned or not. But with time, those things going to clear apart. To me, I have nothing wrong there. And right now, we are engaging with the U.S. Citizens and Immigration Service. They are responding to us directly. UPAC is communicating with them on issues concerning our community. But it calls for us to speak for ourselves and be in the know of what is happening. Because when we don't know what is happening, then whatever that is thrown out on the street, we run with it. We'll be scared.
Well, I want to talk about the U.S. foreign policy now and the U.S. Presence outside of America. We were talking about the Islamic State in Syria, how the United States is yet to, make its full presence there, and then the face-off it's had with Russia concerning airstrikes in Syria, and then the presidents and the president of North Korea, facing off with diplomatic rhetoric about what they will do in the Korean Peninsula and heightening tension in the area. How do you think President Donald Trump is perceived outside of America?
Well, I think people are still holding their breath. They're still waiting to see exactly which Trump are you dealing with, and to know how to to respond. But by and large, I think everybody has accepted the fact that he's the president of the United States, and they will have to deal, they will have to deal with him. But I would like to comment on South Korea and the way the Americans are looking at South Korea. What struck me is to see how they have escalated the whole thing by sending an area of military, ships into the peninsula. Because for one reason, what we are witnessing today in terms of North Korea is not different from what the father of Kim, whatever his name is today, the current president
Kim
in
Jong-un.
Kingdom. I mean, what he's doing today is not different from what his father did. It's not different from what his grandfather did. Virtually the same thing. He's playing from his father and his grandfather's, playbook. Raise up, create tension, and so on. All he's begging for is for somebody to say, we will engage you, we will talk with you. And once they create that window, I'm sure that we won't have to go to war, because the whole essence of going to war, going to war in that part of the world is going to be disastrous. And I think everybody is beginning to recognize that, because now everybody is pulling back and they are saying they want to, deal with the issue diplomatically.
Dr. Okere, let's just get your closing remarks on that. Do you agree?
Yeah. First of all, I think President Obama did an awesome job in that area of diplomacy and so on. And I think military action is not required, but what will really work to humble that young man is different sanctions. And I think there's a quote, someone said, when you see a snake, don't call snake committee. You know what? Because there are some snake committee members that are snake themselves or a friend to snake. So sometimes it requires a reaction for people to know that you are there, because America have been taken for granted, just like Nigeria have been taken for granted anywhere. So a leader, you rise up, lead from the front, not from behind. Diplomacy is good, but most of diplomacy has created so much problem for America around the world. So, and also President Trump focuses on business. Business creativity and economic creativity is more important than political creativity, which is what we're trying to do to please the whole world and so on. But business is the aspect of it where everyone will rise and nobody will be having problems from somewhere else. Let people be in their own. Let leaders be. Only when they do things that are against human rights, that people will then jump in. But before, we've been poke-nosing. We've been putting our eyes in everything and causing harm on ourselves.
Dr. Okere, thank you so much. Thank you for joining us on a Diplomatic Channel. This has been a very interesting discussion. Dr. Okere is the CEO of the African Entrepreneurs Coalition and the United People for African Congress. He joined us from Washington, D.C. In the studio, Ambassador Joe Keshi, who is a regular on our program. Appreciate you joining us on a Diplomatic Channel. Thank you for watching. And this is where we end the program. Don't forget to follow us at Amarachi_Ubani and at Diplomatic Channel. We'll welcome your comments. Thanks for watching the program. I am Amarachi Ubani. I'll see you next time.